ladies and gents, this is Kane from DJVB, and today I have a very exciting video for you, which is partially a product walkthrough, a sort of explanation, how-to, a tutorial, as well as just demonstrating and showing you guys and kind of showing off our new product. Our product line, the one in question, if you go to our website, there'll be 1 minute of waffle, by the way, guys, and then we'll jump straight in. So, this is my website. It's cube mapping loops, and it is the sets for structures, which is specific projection mapping structures which have pre-made and pre-unwrapped loops for that specific structure from that specific perspective. So it's ready to go, show ready, pre-prepared, all done for you. All you need to use these is a projector and Resolume, which you can get from www.resolume.com. They very generously do a trial, so you can check it out for free and see if you like it, and if you do, you can buy it. There are other softwares out there to be able to map. I would highly recommend Resolume. It is really, really good and intuitive, as I keep saying, and I'm not paid to say that. It just is. It works very bloody well. Okie dokie. So then, projector, by the way, guys, before we jump in, people ask me, oh, my projector's only this much resolution, and all your media is 4K, which is really good high resolution, but my projector can't play it because it doesn't play that resolution. Not true, guys. You can play my media on any projector. It just downsizes, which I'll show you in a minute, because my projector here isn't 4K. So you can play it on any projector. Obviously, I'd recommend a projector that doesn't have the resolution of a potato, because that's no good. No one likes potato resolution. Okay, so now we'll jump in. As you can see here, it says out of stock / coming soon for most of these products. That's because we're launching a new one every fortnight, pretty much. This one's already up. The one in question, the one we'll be using today, the one I am launching by tomorrow, is this one, which is the double stack structure designed loops set. And it is 3 cubes either side of what would be perhaps a DJ or whatever you want, perhaps a set design, perhaps something else, it doesn't matter, YouTube, background, studio, whatever you want. That's what this is. That's how much it costs. And now, guys, the pricing for this seems high compared to the full product. If I just go to the full product, you have a quick look and you can see full product is not an awful lot more, and with that you can do absolutely anything. In fact, you get all of these with that as they come out, and you could make them yourself anyway using the tool. You can put logos in, you can do a million things. Okay, guys, so yeah, this is the full toolkit. In this version you can do you've got all the templates, not all the templates, you've got all the media that you have in both products. It's exactly the same. The only difference is in this version you can customize stuff, and you can put your logo in, and you can do YouTube-y type stuff, and you can do a million customizations, and After Effects, file, everything comes with this one. You can design your own structures. This one is all the pre-rendered stuff. You can't custom design using this one. You can with this one. These sets are very specific structures that I'm selling for a bit cheaper. You could make these yourself if you bought the full toolkit. Cool, explanation done. Now, guys, if you're looking at the recording from my camera, you'll see we have this structure in front of me. Now, it's important that you have the structure set up as close as you can to what it's supposed to look like, and when you download, when you've bought my product, you'll have a folder that looks something like this, guys. Now, what we have here, product video, you won't have that. I've just dumped these in here because I need it for the tutorial. Next, what we'll do is we'll get Resolume open. Bada bing, bada bing. Now, as you can see, guys, I have got the test pattern up. How do you do this? You go output, and then you go show test card, and then in your advanced editor, your output mapping, I've got my projector connected, and I've just gone up here, and what it usually says when you open this for the first time is virtual output, and that's it, just sort of imagining there's an output. And then what you do is you go up here, you click on it, screen 1, you go up here to virtual output, and you set it to your other monitor, not your main laptop screen or whatever, just your other one, which is obviously my projector. And now it's going up on the wall, full frame from their input to their output in the real world. Okay, that's just a very brief, quick setup. All the things you need to check before you start. So when you download my product, okay, you'll have a folder like this. It might look slightly different. because I sell MP4 and DXV versions, but I've included it all, and I'm pretty certain of what I'm doing now is providing all the files to anyone. It doesn't matter if you buy MP4 or DXV, I'm just going to send you all of it and allow you to get what you want because I'm nice like that. Okay, so in these folders you have the raw perspective MP4. Now this isn't very useful for me in my usage, I just wanted to include it. Maybe there's someone out there that has other software that this is more handy for them, I don't know. But you can see this is the raw files, this is how it looks like when it comes out of the thing before it's pixel mapped. I wanted to include them, so you've got MP4s of all the clips in there. You've got DXVs of exactly the same thing if you want to use those. Maybe you're using some other software. I can't speak for many other packages, guys. I don't know how well this plays with those packages. I know that it works bloody well with Resolume. If you can pin faces onto real world objects, then it will probably work. So these are the files that are important. Pixel mapped, there's MP4s, so you can play these and you can have a look. Let's have a look at this one, or maybe, I don't know, let's look at Flubber. So it looks really weird and distorted. That's because we're looking at the distorted version that is then reverse engineered back onto the design. As you can see, guys, amount of cubes tells you down here, handy info, there's 6. The resolution of the map is 4096 by 2160 pixels per face. There are 682 pixels in each of these faces. That is nice to know. Thank you, DJVB. No problem, thanks. It's alright, no problem, you're welcome. Right, okay, we'll jump up back again. So the files I'll be using today, these are all obviously identical, just different formats. Sorry, these two and these are identical, different formats. We're going to be using the Pixel Map DXV3. Okay, so I'm going to drop them in. I'm going to select them all and just drop them in. And by the way, guys, if you want them to fill up your Resolume clip slots left to right, you drop it in here. If you want them to go this way, down, 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 and fill it up, and it's a bit more compact on your screen, you don't have to use the slider to scroll left and right. Drop it onto the column like this. Boop. There you go, and it fills up this way. Some of you didn't know that. I had someone asked me the other day, and I was like, I thought, make sure you watch the free tutorials for Resolume, by the way, guys. They've put a load of stuff out there, and it's really handy. It will help you out. That's what I did. So, all these are on here. Brilliant. It's kind of hard to see what our media looks like, doesn't it? So, if I go back up one, DJVP, good if I could pronounce my own company, have handily provided you with references and guides folder. Now, this is a pixel map, which I'll get into in a minute. These are observer calibration patterns. It's to help you know that you're in the right spot and looking at your design from the right place, and to know this sweet spot, essentially. And it's I'll actually go through that with you later on. This is the orientation mapping reference. This is spit out of the template file. Obviously, if you didn't buy the full product and you just bought the structure set, you still get this provided to you, but you didn't make it. Every time you make a custom design with the Pro version, you spit one of these out and it helps you know where to put things. If I just quickly make it a little larger, you can see there's a white line and arrows to tell you which way is up. There is the number of the cube written upside down and the right way around, just in case you've got some real funky designs going on. Each face is color coded, obviously Y green, X is red, and Z is blue. You can barely see it, but they are blue faces. Now, there's obviously 2 green faces on this top cube here, cube 3. There's one here and there's one on the other side, but you can't see it. This one here is plus, which means the one on the other side is minus. Now, in different tutorials I'll speak about this and it is relevant, but in this one it's not. So forget about the plus and minus. As long as you match green to green, red to red, and blue to blue, it will work fine, because in this tutorial you're only ever going to see 3 faces of the cube at once. You're not going to see any more than that because you don't have X-ray vision, so it doesn't matter. You just match the colours, okay? Now also on each one we have A, B, C and D in each corner, and what that just does is give you an indicator of, it helps you pinning. If you're pinning faces from corner pinning using it in Resolume, it will just help guide you and you know where to put what, because we're going to keep referring to this image and we're going to be jumping between Resolume and this image just to know that we're putting the faces in the right place, because you've got to match it up correctly, guys. Okay, so I've explained all these. Finally, there's this folder. And what this is, I wouldn't ordinarily use this, but some people do like to, and it does look nice and presentable when you've got Resolume set up in a nice user-friendly way. What these are thumbnails for your clip slots here. So if you wanted to, you could go in, because it's hard to tell, because it's distorted and pixel maps, it's kind of hard to tell what's what, right? So you go here and you right click, you click, first left click, sorry, to make that's the preview tab at the bottom of the clip, and it brings it into the preview window. So if you right click that, thumbnail, load from file, bada bing bada boom, and then you can go to that folder, and that's the cloth one, which I know is this one. Open, and then you can load in the thumbnails. That's electricity, so we'll go do one more, load from file, electricity, and you can load them in, and then obviously it's easier for you to see what you're playing. Now luckily guys, I already did this. Boom. Time travel once again. So we've got a nice handy composition here, which by the way is set up, if I go up to composition settings, it is set up as the right resolution, the same resolution as the actual content, which is 4096 by 2160. That's 4K, true 4K resolution. Okay, I've called it projection demo. Apply, make sure you regularly save. Brilliant. Now moving on, what I wanted to mention earlier is if you go output, advanced. Now, even though my content is 4K, guys, do you remember I mentioned about projectors and people asking me that their projector might not work with my content? And I said, yes, it does. My projector here is only 1920 by 1080. That's the highest resolution it can emit. So, what we've done is we've got the input image, and if you see here, the input image, the composition, because we just set it, is 4096 by 2160 on the input. This is what we're taking from the software. We're inputting this into the projector, right? And we've taken the full thing, and we're going to now the output, and it tells us that out here the output is display 4 1920 by 1080. So we're downsizing. So what you're seeing, what's being recorded on my phone, isn't even the full resolution of what I've designed this content to be. It's half. In fact, it's actually almost it's a quarter. But just to give you an idea of how highly detailed this content is. So it works, and that's how that, I thought I'd quickly explain it. So what we'll do is we'll go presets and we'll save this, because this is our starting point. This is our mapping file, which is highly important. If you're going and doing multiple shows or touring, you want to keep this on a USB, keep it handy, maybe attach it to the laptop on a little string or something, or whatever. So projection, demo, and we'll call it dual stacks because that is this structure. Cool. Save by going here, and you go save, and then you go save and close. Cool. So let's get into it now, guys, because I have wasted an awful lot of time. Let me just check we're still recording. Yeah, we are. Brilliant. So we'll turn off the test pattern in a second, but what we need to still do is bring in all our reference stuff. And what I like to do is I like to leave a gap. See here, a one clip slot gap in Resolume. And then what I like to do is bring in booth, the pixel map, and let me just explain that. Look, we have the coordinates for the faces, the top left coordinate, and we know the amount of pixels per face, so it's really easy and user friendly to pin from. These two, the observer calibration patterns. So we'll bring them in. 1, 2. What those are those are completely horizontal or vertical lines that have been rendered using the structure as a mask, right? And then that image, that output has been pixel mapped and distorted onto this template for the structure. And when you put it on the structure, if you're in the right spot, the intended place to view this from, you'll see completely parallel lines, vertical or horizontal, depending on which of these you play. That's how you calibrate the observer's perspective, okay? Which I'll do, and I'll show you. Now this we don't need to bring into Resolume, but what I will do is make it bloody massive, because I'll just flick between this so we know where we're putting our faces. This is important now, because what we're doing is we're going to map our pixel map to the actual structure in this room. So let's begin. What we do is we turn off the test pattern, so no test card, and we'll play. There we go, the pixel map, and it's going out full frame. And if I go to output, advanced. Right, what we need to do, guys, is we need to make a slice for each of these we're using, and we need to put that slice from the input, from the software, input it into the projector, and then we need to go and place it in the real world on the output tab. Let's do one, and maybe we'll do a few more together, and then I'm going to fast forward. So, slice 1. Width and height. Now I know that these are exactly square, which means it's the same amount of pixels horizontally and vertically each face, and it tells me down here it's 682. So if I just type in width 682 and I go again to the height 682, and then I go left 0, top 0, it is right there. All the numbers work perfectly. Now if we go and bring up, I'm going to have to save and close quickly. If we bring up this, as you can see, there aren't really any Z faces. There's no blue faces really in use. There are tiny little smidgens, but I don't think I'll map them. I think it's not really worth it. The illusion's going to be fine without them. What we'll start with is cube 3, the Y face, see here? And if you look, the arrows are pointing down, and we have A, B, C, D. You can see, forget the orientation of the actual label, where it says cube 3, forget that. Y plus and the arrows are the important bit. We can see that this face, the Y plus, the Y green face for cube 3, is on the top left cube in the real world, and it's completely upside down. It's not the wrong way around, it's not left to right, it's upside down. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So if I go back into Resolume, and it's cube 3 green face, remember, I'll go output advanced. So slice, and we'll go, see here it is, cube 3 green, and it says here 1364. So if I go left 1364, boom, and I go, what's the Y? Also 1364. Top 1364. Okay, so we've got the entire Y face. Now remember, it needs to go upside down into the very top left face of the cube in the real world. So if I now go to output, I'm going to right click it and I'm going to go match input shape, because now it's going to give us, it will be slightly larger, by the way. Obviously remember I said that we're using my projector, what the resolution that I'm outputting is almost a quarter, under half. So if you're going to match the input shape, we're matching from a much bigger source here, so it's going to maybe sometimes be off screen, just look for it. But by right clicking and doing match input shape, we've now got the same shape. See, there it is. And all we need to do, guys, it is literally this simple. I know I'm perhaps overcomplicating my explanations here, but I want to be thorough. Is we just spin it upside down using the transform, and if you hold shift, it will lock to 45-degree angles, I believe. When I said transform, by the way, I meant this button here. And if you look in the real world, it's bloody massive, right? What we need to do is just scale it down, and see how it's not aspect ratio locked. Hold down shift, and then it is. There we go. We'll make it roughly the right size, I reckon, about that. Cool. And then we can bring it up here. And what I like to do, guys, it's not really a little trick, it's just logic, but I like to match one corner up already when I bring it up to the place, so I already have it in a sort of semi-correct position. And what I did there was I aligned the bottom right corner of this face to the right place in the real world. Now if you, up here on the top right of the screen, I'm switching to edit points, because now I need to warp this face into the right spot. And by the way, guys, this projector, even though it's quite bright, I've got ambient light in the room because I need you to see what I'm doing. What I like to do to help me map is I just click on the screen here, and just while we're mapping, I bang the brightness right up, so I can see really well what I'm doing. I know it's overexposed and looks nasty, but I now can see that I'm putting this exactly where it's supposed to be. So I can just move one corner at a time by clicking. And you want to click the inner little handle, by the way, guys, because the other one does it's like a multi-point sort of scaly type perspective warp that we don't want to do. I want to move the handles for just the vertex. Okay, and we'll just click. You can use the up and down and left and right arrows, by the way. There we go. That's pretty much in a good old spot, isn't it? Right, guys. And there might be a little bit of overspill, guys, on the back wall. We'll sort that out later. I like to go and just add finishing touches afterwards. Now, so things don't get confusing, guys, that face is done. What we can do is we can go up here and just click and rename it, and this is 3Y. This is the Y face for cube 3. Okay, and remember, always do this, save regularly, and we'll save and close. Now, remember to keep checking this and just make sure that it matches what you're seeing in the real world. because this is important for your design. Each structure has their own one of these that I provide with all your downloads, and you need to use it as your point of reference. You can try and do it without using this, but you'll be there all day getting it wrong and then trying to fix your errors, and you just use the reference. It's like men with instruction manuals, just read the manual, even though I am that guy. Okay, so we're going to go and do the next one, guys, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this slightly, because what I would like, so it takes up maybe a little bit less room, what I would like to do is have that image also appear on my screen so I can see both at the same time. So now you can see, I can see, this is a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Now you can see that I can see my cube pattern there as well, my reference image. So we're going to do now the X for cube 3, and as you can see, the top of it is here in this point, and it's going to end there, so the center is going to end up there. So what we'll do, go back to the input, and we'll grab that slice we already did. There's no point making one from scratch, because guess what, we've already done a bit of the work, we've already made it the right size, so we're just going to duplicate it, and we'll just change the name, and we're going to do it as 3x, because that's what it is, and then we're going to change the top to 682. 682, already in the right spot, marvelous. And then output transformation, so we've done the input, now we go output. Now because I duplicated it, guys, it is in the same place as the first one. All we need to do is go right click, make sure you've got the right slice, right click, and same as we did before, match input shape, and as you can see, it's over here. It is slightly warped because it doesn't reset the warping, that's fine. Now, as you can see in the reference guide, this needs to go pretty much just a little spin anti-clockwise, so we'll just do that. Doobie-doobie-doo, doobie-doobie-doo, and there it is, and we'll scale it. And by the way, I'm not bothering to do linked aspect ratio scaling. It doesn't really matter if it scales differently, because we're pinning this anyway, we're warping it, so it really makes no odds, by the way. I just wanted to let you know. Okay, so let's pin this one. And this one, that one is pinned. That was nice and quick and easy. Now I'm going to speed it up, guys. I'm going to do what I've been doing, but slightly quicker. Remember earlier I mentioned you can add points. If there is, for instance, a surface that isn't quite flat and it's got a bulge in it, for like so, in my case here, cube 2 in the real world, if you have a look, the face that is red on cube 2, this one, is not quite aligned at the top edge, and that is because the box I'm using actually bulges out slightly. Now, ideally, what you'd do is you'd go and unbulge it, and you'd have a completely flat surface. But let's say you can't do that for whatever reason, maybe the show's about to start or whatever. You could just quickly do this. You could go point mode, we'll keep it linear I think for now, and you could subdivide it, and then what you can do is just bring the points up or down here. Now you could add as many subdivisions as you need to just quickly bring it in, so I'm just going to quickly add that one there, and this one can now come up a tad. And that's fixed the bulge. That's simple, and you can do it as a Bezier as well if you want, so it will curve. But that's fine. That's fixed that. Okay, now we are mapped, guys. That's how you complete the mapping. That is essentially it. Now you'd be using this product to VJ and put on a great show for a DJ, which would of course probably be in the middle. So what I'm going to do is quickly save, and I'm going to go save and close. And I'll keep the recording on and just show you how I'd use Resolume. So this is a performance bit now. This is how I'd use it for performance. Also, I'll tell you what, before we get into the performance side, we'll kill the pixel map, bye-bye, and we'll play the stripes I was telling you about. These are the calibration checkers. Now, if I've put my camera in the right place, which I hope I have, these should look pretty damn parallel. These lines should look horizontal or vertical. And if I look, not bad at all. in fact pretty spot on. They're never going to be exactly perfect because we are warping, but that is, I'm actually rather impressed with how well that's gone for a first try. And there's a horizontal version as well you can play if you've got a different orientation of your cubes. This might be helpful. So that's how you know where to put the camera. Now if you're in a spot that is not where my camera is currently, I'm going to walk around with it in a second, I just don't want to disturb the projection. If you're somewhere other than the actual viewing point, none of these lines will look straight or horizontal, vertical, or parallel. They'll converge, they'll bend at corners. That's how you know you're not looking at this from the best angle for the illusion to work. So that's what those these test patterns are designed to do, is just help you know where you're supposed to be in the room for this to have the best optical illusion possible. Now then, for performance, what I do, we'll put the pixel map back on. What I do is during a show I would completely get rid of my pixel maps and my calibrations because I wouldn't want to accidentally play those, so I'd kill those. And as you can see, I've got each of my thumbs loaded with the custom thumb that we loaded in for the still images to let us know what clips what. How I'd use Resolume personally is I would have an extra layer. I always have my topmost layer with my logos for if it's a back-to-back set. I would have it in sequence left to right. I would have the DJ's names in chronological order, so as their set times go on, I'm essentially just clicking through and playing the right logo for that DJ. I always reserve my topmost layer for that. In terms of the clips, which is what's important for this tutorial, is what I usually do is I would click the clips and I would hold shift and select another one down the opposite corner to select them all, and I would go into, see here, it's the clip menu, multiple clips, and autopilot layer determined. By default that should be set to just keep relooping the same clip. If you're going for a Wii or whatever, and you can go here and you can go play next clip, and it will just keep playing. It will keep the show going. Obviously, it's going to play next. So if your pixel map's there, it will put your pixel map on. So you need to just really make sure you've prepared your VJ, your Resolume file, before you were to use autopilot. Try and stray away from doing that. Like toilet breaks are not allowed. VJs are not allowed to go to the toilet, and that's final. Okay, what I do, sorry, little tangent there, is I'll go right click with all clips selected, and I go to target, and I go to active layer. Now composition determined, what it was on by default, it means it will go to the layer that it's on. So all these clips here at the top will go and play on layer 3, and all these ones here will play on this layer. I don't like that, and I'll tell you why. Because in a show like this where it's projection mapped, I like to have my media chopping the previous clip and cutting it, because mixing clips that are projection mapped can sometimes look a bit funky. Sometimes it looks good, you just got to know your media well. In a normal screen LED VJ visual set, I would be using multiple layers and chopping and changing and mixing together and trying to get a nice look. But what this mode does is then if I were to click this clip, it plays it on this layer and it knocks out the clip I was playing before, and it's just a way for me to have only ever one bit of media playing and not sapping all the resources from my laptop. Now remember earlier when we were mapping, I actually forgotten to put something back, and I wonder if any of you had noticed it. I just did now. If I go to advanced, remember to map, I put the brightness of my display right up. Yeah, I left it up and didn't put it down, and it looks horribly overexposed. So if I knock that back down and tell my darling Alexa, turn off the light. Okay. Oh, very obedient. You guys do not want to know what else I get her to do. We'll leave that at that, shall we? Okay, so now we'll save and close. And yeah, we can play through our clips just by clicking whatever we want. Now if there was music, I'm not going to put on some nasty tinny sounds for you guys that are recorded through 2 microphones, but I will cut some audio over this, and you can see just how you would VJ this in an environment with with audio, and you could use, for instance, shortcuts, edit the keyboard, and you can see here QWERTY. So if I was to maybe go A, S, D, and assign some here, you can see shortcuts, stop. You can see what we're doing, so you can play off your keyboard. And if you don't have a MIDI controller, I'd recommend getting one. Korg Nano Control 2 is one of my favourites, or anything by Akai. And that's pretty much that, guys. But either way, guys, thank you for watching, and it's been a pleasure. Maybe I'll just quickly play out something I prepared earlier, which I showed you, which was the pixel mapped version of the product video. So the product video that you've all seen on YouTube, Facebook, I've rendered the DXV version with audio, and I rendered it at 1920 by 1080 because that's what my projector can play, just to save a wee bit of time. I'm going to play that for you guys. Yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. There are so many more tutorials to come. Okay guys, I just wanted to lightly touch upon something. So what that tutorial was all for very specific content, sets of loops for specific structures from a certain angle. It's for people that don't have After Effects and they don't want all the source files and all the hassle and bother. They just want a ready to go, show ready, easy sort of pre-packaged toolkit thing to set up, and it's already done for them. If though you have bought my larger product, the V2 Toolkit Pro, which is the version that allows you to completely edit everything in After Effects, and you can make as many different stages and structures and custom design things to your heart's content as much as you like. If you have that product, then what you can do, this is the file that made the clips we were playing earlier. If, for instance, there's a different angle that you want to look at it from, or you wanted to change, add a few cubes, or you wanted to, I don't know, change the clip, put your logo in, whatever, that's how you do it. You'd have the V2 Pro toolkit, and let me just show you how quick and easy that actually is, because it is mind-blowing. Even though I made it, it sounds like I'm bigging myself up. This tool is really bloody handy. I feel like I'm going to be using it a lot. So we're screen recording as well. What you do is you go in and you just change the position of the camera, because it's all automated, as I mentioned before. So in the room, I'm to the lower left of this structure, and I don't want it to look good now from the center like it was earlier. I'm a guy that's bought Pro, and I want it to look correct from this angle, from where I'm sitting. So what I'll do is I'll put the camera roughly in the scene where I am. I'm going to try and match the perspective. So I don't reckon, I've done this before, by the way, I know the numbers. So 1800 on the X and 600 on the Y. So I've just moved the camera, and now you'll see the scene update. There we go, and that's roughly where I'm sat in comparison in the real world. Now if we go to the next step, the auto unwrap file, it doesn't matter that we've moved the camera, it's still going to pin everything from the correct place. That's what this tool does. This is what I've designed it to do. This is where it saves you a shitload of time. So any second it will update, and as you can see, more faces are now being used, more faces are visible. Also, something worth mentioning, when you're custom designing things, you do need to render your own reference. Remember earlier we were referencing this orientation map to know what face to put onto what face in the real world. If you're making your own structures, always do this. Let me show you. Go to Controls, and you go Guide Box Display Type, UVW box, and it will show the orientation map. Any second. There it is. And then you would go and use this as your reference, and it will have the line that shows you where the top is. This is your specific reference because this is where you're mapping from. Okay, so if I was now, I'll just turn that back off, you'd render a little image of that. So we'll turn this off. Now I'm going to render our clip, our new clip, which is specifically from this lower angle where I'm sat. And if we just fast forward in time, bloop, 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 and we go into Resolume, I've loaded in that new clip, and if I click play, remember we would have made, if the mapping's changed, then you'd map it using that new image. My mapping hasn't changed because it's all exactly the same, but now you can see we have Alexa, light off please. Alexa, turn the light off. Disobedient. Okay. Thank you. As you can see, if I look at this, it now looks correct. The illusion works from this angle. It's that simple. That's how you do it. It's dynamic. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. There's still tons to cover.